So thank you everyone for coming and filling in the center like you did. Appreciate that. Welcome to week 13. Got a couple of announcements for you. We're going to pass the presentation to the presenters. First off, number one, no quizzes this week. There we go. That's nice, isn't it? No reading quiz. Now the bad news is you have an assignment that could take a little longer than typical assignments. The focus assessment, you're going to hear about it today. There's quite a bit to it. It could take you up to 3 hours if you're really going slowly. Now, I strongly encourage you to get started on it early this week so that you're not crunched for time come Sunday night trying to get that all wrapped up. Okay? So you've got the focus assessment discussion board, you've got the career roadmap assignment. Those are the two assignments we need to do this week. Now, a reminder that November 23rd, the NSU Resources Scavenger Hunt is due. If you have completed it and have earned 90% on both parts, you are going to be entered into the drawing for the textbook reimbursement for next semester. Very, very beneficial. Strong encourage you to work on that. Now we've been grading those, and there's some people have been doing so well on the essay portion.
And it's not really an essay, it's a scavenger hunt. You're looking up, you see a list of URL, 3 things the place can do for you, the location and the contact information and hours that it took.
Excellent. So make sure you get all of that part done for it too. Now, a little reminder, register your clickers through Blackboard. Some of you might have registered it on the iClicker website. That's not the right spot to do. You have to actually go into Blackboard and register there. If you're not sure how to do that, track down Stacy or me, we can help you with that. Today, we're going to be hearing from Jody from Career Services. She just stepped out for a second. And Tiffany over in the SASC. We're going to be talking to you about career services and opportunities like that. Stacy is also going to be here. I'm going to have to actually step out, but Stacy will be running the rest of the meeting. So any questions before we get started? All right, thank you, everybody.
Okay, so good morning. I know it's right before lunch, you're all starving and fidgety, but I promise you, once again, we're going to be bringing you some good information that you're going to actually need. Before we get started though, how many of you are enrolled for spring already? Excellent. How many of you have tried to enroll for spring and couldn't? Yeah, only a few of you are going to admit to it. Part of that could be because you've not been back to see your academic advisor yet, or your university advisor, excuse me. We have holds on you guys. You must come back and see us before you can enroll for spring. So if you didn't do the GE roadmap, it doesn't matter at this point. You still need to get back in with your advisor, and you still need to meet with them, or you're not going to be able to enroll for spring semester, okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm Tiffany. Obviously, you've seen me already. I was here and talked to you about the tutoring centers on campus. I'm filling in for Eric Wilkinson. He's a career counselor who works in the Student Academic Success Center with me. He does what Jody does and many other people do over in the career services area. So we're going to talk about how you set yourselves apart from all of the other students who are going to be graduating with the same degree that you have when it actually gets to that point. And I know that a lot of you at this point are not even wanting to think about graduating and your career afterward because you're just trying to get through this semester, right? But it's never too early to start thinking about that possible career and the choices that you're going to make, because you're going to have to learn how to set yourself apart from everybody else who's graduating with you at the same time. So we're going to start off with a couple of questions. I believe that the most important part of college is to learn about new things. Okay, so most of you would agree with that statement, right? So, things is kind of ambiguous. What are some of the things that you feel you should be learning in college? Okay, so something that has to do with your major? What else? I hear a lot of people talking. I don't hear anybody talking to me. What else?
Time management.
Time management. Yes, you guys have heard that 50 million times this semester already, right? What else are you guys learning?
Leadership.
Leadership?
Responsibility.
Responsibility.
Life skills.
Life skills. Okay, I'm just hearing a lot of blah, blah, blah at this point, right? But in all honesty, you actually are learning those, whether you intend to learn them or not, right? No matter how much you fight against it, you will actually learn some of those. So, for those of you who believe that college is the most important part, do you believe it's here to prepare you for a career? That that's the most important reason for going to college? Okay, and that's pretty across the board, right? The majority of you feel that that is what college is here for, is to prepare you for your career. So, how is it going to prepare you for your career? If I just told you that you're all going to be graduating with the same type of degree, even if it's not in the same field, you're looking at bachelor's degrees, right, for the majority of you. So, how is that bachelor's degree preparing you for that career? So you'll actually know what you're doing, right? So career specific. What else is it giving you? How else is it preparing you for your career? How many of you have gone and visited with a faculty member this semester because you had to for a class? Would you have done that at any other time if you were not required to do it? Would you push yourself out of that comfort zone? Probably not. That's one of the things that college is designed to do, to prepare you for that career. Because let me tell you something, it's not always going to be nice and warm and cozy and fluffy little bunnies and kitties dancing around the office all day, right? Okay. Well, sorry, one of our slides went missing. But one of the things that I was going to show you is some statistics on college degrees and unemployment. How many of you feel that just because you have a college degree, you are guaranteed a job? Good, because that's absolutely not the case. That's not even the case 20 years ago. All of you are going to be graduating with a degree. Some of you are going to go on to master's degrees. Some of you may even go on to PhDs. That's not necessarily a guarantee of a job. So one of the things that we want you guys to be aware of is that there are other skills that you have to develop. There are other things that you have to do in order to make yourself marketable. And that's literally what you're doing. You're making yourself marketable to an employer. You're telling this employer, this is what sets me apart from these 400 other people that have applied for this job that have the exact same skill level that I have. These are what make me different. So part of the things that you need to understand is that doesn't start the minute you graduate from college. That started the day you enrolled for college, okay? I can guarantee you that the majority of what you are learning here in University Strategies is preparing you for that possibility of having to compete with a large group of people for only one or two jobs, okay? So one of the ways in which you can start to develop those skills is by visiting career services and finding out what it is that you need to get started on. So I'm going to turn it over to Jody at this point and let her explain some of the opportunities that you guys have.
Good morning. You know what I do? I encourage questions because I have little gifts. They're erasable highlighters. So if you answer questions, if you're in the front, I might throw it at you, or I have helpers that might give you one. I got you talking. Love it. I love interaction. Okay, so what can you do about it? Making yourself ready for the workforce when you're done with college. The first one, of course, is picking a major, career. Do majors and careers go together? Of course they do. Of course they do. So what kind of a major, how many of you already know what you're wanting to go into? Have you already declared that? Okay. Do you think there might come a time when you may decide to change your major? How many think that might happen? Well, statistically speaking, about 50% of you will probably change your major at some time during your bachelor's degree program, because we all come in thinking that we want to do one thing, and then we get into the coursework, and sometimes we decide that maybe it's not exactly our cup of tea. You know what I mean by that? Old phrase. Didn't know if you knew. So, how many of you want to be teachers? I see a couple of hands. How many science teachers? Math? Ooh, what? Elementary ed? Oh, there's a few more hands. The reason I ask those questions is because, of course, Northeastern is noted for their College of Education, and there's a big need in that area in the state of Oklahoma. You've heard of the teacher shortage. It's not such a bad idea to go into teaching at this point in Oklahoma if you're trying to stay here. How many of you are thinking that you might broaden your horizons and go outside of the state? There's quite a few here. So who can tell me what degrees they're thinking? Didn't you raise your hand a little bit ago about knowing what degree you were in? Pardon me? What are you going to do? You're pre-med. Theater major. Is it likely that the theater major would stay in Oklahoma? No, she says. Where would you go, maybe?
Atlanta or LA.
I'm not good at this. I'm hoping someone wants to be a coach so they can show me how. Some culture. Everybody needs a job. It's not mine. I'm not good at it. Pre-med, she could probably get a job anywhere doing something in the medical field, anywhere in the United States. For me, I hope she likes to work with old folks, because I'm getting it. Okay, so how confident are you that you will choose a major that is right for you? Let's use your clickers and find out where you're at on this. Okay, let's see what you found out. Well, it looks like you're pretty confident. How many of you are absolutely confident that you have chosen the right major for yourselves? That's great. But remember, what are you going to do if you hit a roadblock in that major? Let's say a math class, a chemistry class, something like that that's difficult to get through. What do you do? What's the first thing you should do if you hit problems? What? Who said get help? Yeah? How are you going to get help?
Talk to your teacher.
What do we answer? Talk to your teacher. Oh, and learn how to throw. I was pretty close though, wasn't I? I did well. I'm proud of myself. I don't even have to be perfect, but I'm proud of myself. Isn't that great? You need to learn to talk with your professors and with the professionals that are available on campus for a number of reasons. First being that if you hit that roadblock or you're having difficulty in your class, your instructor, professor, will be more than happy to assist you. If they cannot assist you, they will be able to lead you to resources that can help you. Things like the writing lab, tutoring centers, a number of things. So please don't forget to make conversation with who? Professors, teachers, people on campus. We're approachable. We like you. Go figure. We want to help, so don't forget to ask us. Okay. How many of you believe that you'll be able to get a job related to your major after you graduate? Oh, you're not so sure here. Yeah, use your clicker on that. Oh, you picked that one up. Let's see how you came out. You're pretty confident. You're pretty sure you'll find a job in your major. How many accountants do we have? Anybody going to do accounting? There's one. How about general business? There's another one. How about social work? We have a great social work school. It's a good field to go into. And of course, you're probably pretty well aware that we have a wonderful college of ed. Our psychology program. Anybody want to be a counselor? School counselor. There are ways to do that. Right here at NSU. And we will help you get there. Okay. So, we want you to explore your options. We want you to take classes in areas that maybe you're not familiar with. If you're looking, for instance, to be in medical, what would one of the classes be that you would want to get into? Anatomy, right. Human anatomy. That'll tell you right away if you're going to have a skill or not for that, or really like it. Take online assessments to determine your strengths and your skills. What's an online assessment? Oh, that's good. Assessments that are online, I love it. They are. They're things that can tell you about your personality. They can take your skills, your personality, and your interests, what interests you, and really come up with a job that you may enjoy. Do you think it's important to enjoy your profession? Very important. Some of us tend to look at just what pays the most, and that's really not the best way to pick your profession or your career. It's what gives you the most pleasure. Because think about it, if you have to go to a job every day that you hate, it's not going to be much fun. Has anybody had a job that they didn't like? Think about that every day for 20 or 30 years. Not good, huh? It's not comfortable. You have to go to a job that you enjoy doing. That way it shows, and you're willing to go the extra mile to do a good job. So all those things matter. Talk with faculty and professionals in the field. Very important. So again, I'm going to use the medical example. If she wants to be in the medical field, it would be a good idea to maybe job shadow. Just visit with maybe her doctor and find out what they go through, what's a typical day like. First-hand experience. How are you all going to gain first-hand experience? Anybody have an idea? Internship. What else? Who said job shadowing? Job shadowing. Have you ever done that? Awesome. Where are you going to job shadow? I love it. That's great. Job shadowing is a great first step. Most internships are going to be available to you right after your sophomore year. We do have a number of them available on campus. Part-time jobs on campus might help you decide what you want to do, believe it or not. How many of you have a job on campus? Do you think you like that job? Yes. Some do, some don't. That's okay. A job is a job sometimes, and then there's a job that's a career. There is a difference. But you can job shadow, you can get internships. In fact, in career services, we have a new program called the CEO, or the Career Exploration Opportunity Program. Very easy, you don't have to pay for a class to do it, and we can actually give you recognition through the school that you have done that. That's called a good resume builder. Now we're going to move on to how you find out that some of these things could be good for you, believe it or not. The first one is the assessment that you're going to be doing this week. This was the assignment, which I was telling you about earlier. It's the Focus 2, and it's based primarily on the Holland codes, which most employers are familiar with. You tend to be categorized in each one of these fields, either realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, or conventional. How many of you think you might be social? What does it say to be social? You might look at liberal arts. Or education. A lot of us tend to be social, but we know we don't want to get up and speak all the time. If you're social and an introvert, what are you going to do? There's a couple of things you have to work on, right? I'm an extrovert, and I have a hard time sitting at my desk. You know what I mean by extrovert and introvert? You do know that. Good. So if you're introverted and you tend to get your energy from sitting behind the desk, that's the kind of job you should look for. If you're an extrovert, you better be kind of on stage talking to folks and helping them a little bit. So let's find out a little bit more about this area. Your top 3 interest areas is what an advisor is actually going to look at to help you decide what kind of a major you might want to do. Do you think it's going to be important to answer these questions truthfully and honestly? Maybe there's a reason he said it could take up to 3 hours? That doesn't sound like fun, does it? Let me go back one. I'm going to show you a little trick that might take the sting out of it. This is where you have to sign up to take the focus. I'm just going to sign on real quick. Can't type one-handed, that's what I'm finding out. Where did that P come from? Okay, when you pull up the focus, you're going to see this great big page of stuff to do. Please don't let that intimidate you. You're not going to have to do all that. What we want you to worry about is just this center part that says self-assessment. And these are the 5 assessments that you're going to take. Here's the little secret. You can take one assessment at a time rather than sit down and take them all at one time. It's called chunking. Does that help? Because if I take one assessment tonight and take one tomorrow night and I go throughout the week, when do I have my assessment done? By Friday. When's it due? Sunday. So if I just do one, take 45 minutes or so to do each one, it's not really going to take a whole lot for you to have to do that. So you've seen that. So now we'll go back. This is what it's going to come out like. And we're going to be able to help you. This is the chart that you're looking for. Okay? Your instructions tell you that. You can go on. So, if I'm an enterprising person, I am a persuader. It means I need to be assertive and self-confident. What kind of a job, you don't have to use your clickers for this, what kind of a job do you think would be most likely to be an enterprising person? A librarian, travel agent, carpenter, or graphic designer? Who says travel agent? How many agree with travel agent? How many think it should be a librarian? Why not? They're pretty assertive. Sometimes we have a different idea of a librarian, don't we? Okay, Next, travel agent is right. So if I'm conventional and the organizer, it means I'm pretty well organized. I can get things done. I'm accurate with the things that I do. I'm meticulous. I can get that done. Am I a safety inspector? A meteorologist? A chef? An engineer? How many pick engineer? One. It's kind of right. How about a chef? What if I put the wrong items in your food and it doesn't taste good? How about a meteorologist? They're never right. What about a safety inspector? How many say safety inspector? So what is it? Safety inspector. Do you know that you can actually get that degree here at NSU? It's in the business department. It's where you kind of work with those of you that like to work with your hands and such. Might like this kind of a degree here at NSU because it's actually going through like shops and manufacturing firms and finding out, if they're doing the safety measurements the right way, things like that, adhering to all the laws. So you might like that. So who's a thinker? They're logical people. They're scientific, inquisitive. They like to explore. What about a journalist? How many say journalist? Who do you think it is? Huh? What's D? What does an archaeologist do? You don't know, really, do you? Sometimes it's kind of confusing. Archaeology is right. Bones, right. What about trying to find those bones? Wouldn't that get kind of boring? It only would for me, because I'm not interested in that. Okay. Going forward, you can always pick your major or your career, and you also have to have something known as transferable skills or soft skills. How many of you have heard that term? We're off to a good start there, too.
Everybody stand up. Stand up, stretch, you're finished, you're talking. Stand up and stretch, you're 10 seconds. Get out. Okay, now, put your phones away. And we're ready to start back up, okay? So transferable skills. First of all, what do you think transferable skills are? There's no right or wrong answer to this. Just holler out what you think a transferable skill is. Skills that can be used at any job. I heard somebody else. What? I'm sorry? Basics, like your genetics. Excellent. Anybody else? I hear people talking. I don't hear anybody talking to me. Okay. Yes, they are absolutely right. They are skills that are not limited. Okay, they're not limited to any academic discipline or knowledge area, and she's absolutely right. You are learning transferable skills in your general education courses. In university strategies, that's pretty much what you are learning. You are learning transferable skills. You are learning things that are going to apply to any type of job that you happen to take on. Okay? How many of you know people who are in their 40s and 50s and they've already had one successful career and retired from it, and now they're starting a second one? Or maybe even a third one. I mean, that is something that would have been unheard of 30 or 40 years ago, and it's becoming fairly common now. And I can guarantee you that those people who are able to do that, it's because they have a large set of transferable skills. So if we're talking about transferable skills, there are lots of different things that we're speaking of. If you're talking about human relations, think of some skills that you have to be successful in human relations, but that are also applicable to other areas of your life. What are some of those skills? What? Communication, absolutely. What else? Public speaking. Any more? What? Decision making, absolutely. What do you guys think of when you think of human relations? I mean, what job do you think of? Secretary, caseworker, what? Social worker? Teachers, absolutely. That's already 5 or 6 different careers, right? I guarantee you, they all share the same skill set, okay? What about if you're going into design and planning? What are some transferable skills that you have to do that job? Math? Perhaps, yes. What? What else? You guys are going to have to speak up. I can really hear you. Physics? Maybe, yes. Depending on what you're going into. What are other skills that you might have to have for design and planning? Creativity. Absolutely. Is creativity limited only to design and planning? No. What are other areas in which creativity is important? Research? Arts? Decision making? Right? What about communication? And obviously, yes, communication itself is a transferable skill. But if you are going to a job that requires a lot of communication, what are some other skills that you have to be able to do that successfully?
Smiling.
Smiling? Is that what you said? Reading and writing? What else?
Bilingual.
Oh, bilingual. Is that what you said the first time? I'm sorry, I heard smiling somehow. What about for organization and management? What are some skills that you have to have for organization and management? Leadership, be organized. Who said that? Obviously, yes, you need to be organized. And specifically when you're talking about leadership abilities, what type of a leader should you be? Strong? What else? Determined. Fearless. What? Assertive. You guys are just throwing out words now. Swift, flexible, yes, absolutely. What? Oh, okay, that's swift, yes. How many of you have ever had a leader in your life? It can be a parent, it can be a boss, it can be anybody, a teacher that is like this, they've got the finger in your face all the time, right? Is that the type of leader that you want to be? They probably need to learn a few more of these transferable skills, right? What about research? You've all already had to start on research, and I guarantee you before you graduate, you will have to learn a lot of those skills involved in research. So what are some transferable skills that you have to know in order to be able to perform research well? Curiosity. What else? Comprehension, right? That's a good one. What else do you have to have for research? Technological skills, patience, right? Focus. I can hear it that. So these are all transferable skills. I'll tell you, I am the opposite of Jody. Okay, Jody said that she's an extrovert. I'm very much an introvert. And I had to learn a lot of transferable skills to push myself outside of my comfort zone. One-on-one, just general chit-chat conversational skills, I didn't used to have them at all. Standing up in front of a group like this would have terrified me 20 years ago. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have stuttered, I would have forgotten what I was going to say, any number of things. I had to learn communication skills. I had to learn the ability to control my emotions. I had to learn how to calm myself down. Those are all transferable skills, people. Every single one of them I learned or began to learn while I was in college for the first time. How many of you feel that the general education courses are there just to torment you? Yes, be honest, thank you. I can guarantee you, though, what they are teaching you is these transferable skills, university strategies. is teaching you transferable skills. How many of you have had to already go and do something this semester for university strategies that you never would have done at any other time? Yeah. Let's be honest, how many of you would have come to see your advisor? Ever? Probably not many of you. There are several people who go through college never visiting with their advisor. So these are transferable skills. It's teaching you the things that you need to have to be successful. Okay? I know you guys are hungry, but please just, if you're not talking to me, stop talking. We're getting a lot of feedback. You can't hear anything. So what are some of the things that employers are looking for? This is a list put together by employers. Now, look at where the technical knowledge that's related specifically to the job lands. It's all the way down here at number 8. I would have thought that it would have been clear up at the top, but that's absolutely not true. And do you know why? Because I can guarantee you that for every job you apply for, there's going to be a handful of people, possibly more, who are going to be applying for the same job, and their skill set, their determination, and their level of competence is exactly the same as yours. So what is going to set you apart from them? These skills that you can acquire that make yourself marketable across the board. Do you think a company wants to hire somebody who can't write a decent report and who looks like they're illiterate, practically? No, they absolutely don't want that. That's where Comp 1 and Comp 2 come in, right? It's not just to torment you, though that is a perk that I get from teaching that, but it is absolutely to teach you those skills. One of my professors loved to tell a story that when he was in KU working on his PhD program, he came across an article in a newspaper in which someone who had committed grand larceny, very obviously committed grand larceny, it should have been an open and shut case, actually got away with it because he had a very slick, tricky lawyer. When they looked up the report that had been written up by the officer in charge had made a shift in grammar. He had gone from using the word he to using the word they, which doesn't sound like any big deal, right? We do that all the time. In conversation, every single day, we do that. We don't even think about using the word they to refer to only one person. But when it was written down in that legal report, the lawyer was able to use that to get the entire thing thrown out. So do you think that perhaps that police officer should have spent a little more time paying attention in Comp 1 and Comp 2, right? It was a transferable skill that he definitely needed to have. There are always going to be moments in life where you think that nothing that you learned in a class in college is going to prepare you for, and then it will astound you the skill that you have developed that you didn't even know that you had. Okay? So how do you get some of those skills aside from just attending classes? Well, that's actually where I'm going to turn it back over to Jody, because she has lots of good suggestions for how you guys develop those skills and make yourselves more marketable to employers.
Okay, I'm back. Are you ready? You got your clickers out? All right. How many of you can answer this question? I plan on being involved in at least one student organization while in college. Well, that's a good amount. What about these 16 down here that don't want to be involved in college? I'm worried about it. Most of you realize that you need to be involved on the campus in order to be successful. Why would you think, what are some reasons you could think of that we would want to encourage you to be involved on campus? Pardon me? Makes you more sociable. What if you're already sociable? Time management, that's a good one. Told you I wasn't good at it. I'm sorry?
Wouldn't you have more time if you weren't involved? You know, like, wouldn't you have more time?
It's not about the amount of time that you have, it's about how you manage the time that you do have.
Oh,
Good
we
answer.
have dialogue.
Good answer.
I love it. now question, wouldn't I have more time to study if I weren't involved? Correct? And she's saying it's not a matter of not being involved, it's a matter of managing the time that you have. How many of you have found that? Some of the organizations on campus that require a minimum GPA. How many have found that? What kind of organizations are those? Honor societies? Greek life. Exactly. What else? Yeah, what if you're in athletics? How many athletes do we have in here? Okay, guys, don't you have to kind of make the grade to stay where you're at? So what are some tools? Now I'm going to focus on them and they're not going to like it. Yeah, they like it. They're free. What are some of the tools that will help you keep your GPA and also keep active in athletics? Study hard. I'd be bad at that. How do you study hard? Actually read the book, somebody said. Isolation? Well, if you put me in isolation, you know what? I'd fail. Because I've got to talk to others. Study groups might help you, right? What other things are on campus that might help you? Tutors. The library. What about the writing center? Most of us need the writing center at one time or another while we're on campus. Right? Correct? Writing center. Math lab. You know they have tutoring over there in the math department too? So how do you get help if you're struggling? What's the first thing you should do? Ask who? Professors, teachers. Talk to your instructors. They might have help for you that you never even knew was available. Okay. What about internships? How many of you plan on doing at least one internship? Use your clicker real quick. Okay, let's see what you find out. Well, we see a high percentage of you. How many of you know that in your program you are going to have to do an internship? It's part of the requirements. Yeah. Teaching, it's part of the requirement, right? Social work, it's a requirement, correct? They call it practicum. What about family sciences? There are some programs that require the internship, and there are some that do not. For those that do not, do we still say you should do an internship? Absolutely. Accounting being one example. The reason I use that example is because there's a large number of job openings usually in accounting, and I do say usually. And it's not really a required part of your program, yet there are many, many accounting internships available for students. For instance, there's one this summer that's available in Tulsa, and I just gonna pop this out there. It's paying $15 an hour. Who doesn't want to do that? It's a great resume builder. Do y'all think you need a resume? Why? Why do you need a resume as a freshman? You're starting to build it, right? What's another reason you might want a resume? Makes you more appealing when you do apply for a job. There's another reason. Scholarships. Money you do not have to pay back. When you apply for those puppies, they usually want a resume. So who are you going to call? Good question. I could bust those goats. Think for services. Okay. There we go. So how many of you plan on being involved or conducting research as an undergraduate? Yes or no? Maybe. Okay, let's see what we find out. Whoa. You're right on the fence on this one. You might or you might not. How many of you think it might be kind of fun to be part of an experiment? Let's say psychology, for instance. I think that might be kind of cool. How many of you think it would be fun to maybe find out that there's a new way of doing something and you want to investigate it more? That'd be kind of cool too, wouldn't it? What's your first step if you're wanting to do some research? There's a common denominator in all of this. Who said that? Very quietly, talk to your professor. They would be interested in helping you conduct research. They can also help you organize a group to where you can conduct research as a group. They enjoy that kind of thing. They like to help you learn. Believe it or not, we all like to help you learn. So always talk to professionals, talk to your instructors. Those are the first things to do. It's always show me, don't tell me. Join student organizations. Do at least one internship while you are on campus. We always suggest that you try to do an internship by the end of your sophomore year, maybe that summer. Get involved in research however you can on campus. How many of you thought about studying abroad even? There's always opportunities available. Where are you going to go to find out if something's going on? I would also always start with student activities, because she's usually going to be able to help you. So you're going to want to pick your major, work on transferable skills, and in the state of Oklahoma, I can tell you firsthand that the employers are looking for students who can communicate effectively. That's both in writing and face-to-face, eye contact, all that stuff. Why do you think they're saying that? Because many of us are accustomed to doing this, right? What am I doing? Texting. I'm guilty too. How many of you actually pick up the telephone and call someone anyway? Well, I'm glad to see that some of you do, but you know what? We have really gotten used to texting. And people don't even understand the tone of your voice when they're texting, right? So that's what employers are really looking for. They're looking for someone who can communicate effectively. That's in your transferable skills. Career services and career counselors can help you attain all these skills. We're actually here to help you develop as a professional. You work on the degree, and we'll help you develop into that professional that you need to be to get the job at the end of your journey. Any questions? Thank you.